can you lose all your money on a debit spread? So let's talk about the debit spread itself and what the potential outcomes are with that. So here we're looking at the trade tab on Thinkorswim, and I've typed in the ticker SPY, which everyone should be familiar with. If I chose an expiration that's, say, 6 days out, say the 13th of April, and I clicked on that and opened it up, changed my strategy to vertical, came down to where we're looking at these strikes of calls on the left, puts on the right. If we were to look at a bullish position in SPY, and we were going to go at about right at the money, say 654, since it's currently trading at 654, and we clicked on the ask on the call side and opened up our spread, and let's say we wanted to go $2 wide. So we're hoping for price to go up, and if we were going to set this up where we were buying the 654 call and selling the 656 call, remember that with debit spreads, or with any spread for that matter, your risk is always going to be measured in $100 units. And if this is $2 wide, then we'd be looking at $200 of risk in this trade. What offsets that total risk is the fact that we're out to the 13th of April for an expiration date, and depending on whether or not we want to set this up as a credit or a debit would determine what the balance of the risk is. So in this particular case, since we're doing a debit spread and we're looking at a price right here that's trading at about $113, because again, it's $1.13, but you have to multiply everything by 100 since we're talking about options. The most that we could lose in this particular trade, if we got in at, let's say, 110, if we set that limit, is $110. So because debit spreads and credit spreads are set up with you're buying one option and selling another, your risk is always limited in the case of a debit spread to what you paid for the actual position. So depending on what that is and what you actually get filled at, that would be the most that you could lose with any particular trade. Now that's per contract, so we've got one over here. If I were to bump this up to 5 contracts and we got in at, say, $1, we set it at that limit, then we would have to multiply our risk per contract of $1, which would be $100, times the number of contracts, which is 5, and that would give us $500 of risk in this particular trade. So remember, it's always the debit that you paid, that's the max that you could lose, and the width doesn't really matter in the case of a debit spread, other than to say whatever the debit limit is, that would be your max loss times whatever number of contracts you're trading. Hope that helps. Look forward to seeing you again. Please click on the link below if you have questions or would like to learn more about trading these spreads.